G'day. Have you ever been to a wedding and had to sit for a long time and wait for the bride to come? And just sit there and wait and wait and think, when is she going to turn up? And think, wow, how can she be so late? I've been to a wedding like that and I've had to sit and wait for like 20 minutes, half an hour before the bride finally turned up. And sometimes you can even get sleepy and fall asleep, just sitting in the warm church and get all drowsy and fall asleep. Well, this story today that I want to read to you is from Matthew 25, 1 through 13. And it's the parable of that Jesus told about a bridegroom coming to meet some young ladies who are waiting for him to come. And it's really interesting how that in this story in Matthew 25, there's this group of young women waiting for this arrival of this groom. So in the Jewish culture, which is a bit different to our Western culture, the ladies are waiting and the people are waiting for the groom to come. Whereas in our culture, we wait for the bride to come. So in this story, there's this bunch of young girls with their lamps at night and their oil, which lit the lamps, are waiting outside for the groom to come. And it takes a long time. In fact, so long they fall asleep. And some of them have got oil and some of them have got no oil, and they've all got lamps. And when the bridegroom finally arrives, very late, because in that culture, the groom had to go and build a house first before he arrived, so that's why it took so long, that he then turned up and the girls didn't have enough light, had to run off and try and get some oil so they had enough for their lamp. And the girls that did went to go into the wedding reception, and when the others came back, they were locked out and didn't get to go in. And they missed out on the wedding. And it's just like, this is an amazing story that Jesus tells. And then the clincher at the end of the story says this: this is a reason why you should always stay awake and be alert, because you don't know the day or the hour when the bridegroom will appear. And I read that and I thought, this is fascinating. There's this whole story here about the fact that these girls are waiting for this bridegroom to come, and they had oil and some didn't have oil. They all fell asleep, and the bridegroom came late, and then wake up, and they jumped up, and 5 of them went inside, and 5 of them went off to get more oil, but only 5 got to stay inside, the other 5 got locked out. And then at the very end, the moral of the story, or the punchline, says, be alert, keep awake, don't fall asleep, because you don't know when the bridegroom's going to come. I don't know about you, but I found that pretty shocking. I thought, wow, for one, I don't understand the story because I'm not Jewish. And secondly, the fact that there were 5 locked out, and that they missed out because they didn't have enough oil. And it was really shocking. So what does this all mean? I was a bit surprised. I thought, oh, I need to look into this a little bit more and find out what this is all about. What's going on here? So this is an allegorical story or a metaphor that Jesus tells to his disciples when he's been talking to them in this section of the Bible about the fact that he's going to die, leave, go back to the Father, and then one day he's going to return and come back to earth to see us and to be with us and to rule over the earth. So it's about his second return. And he's saying, you're going to have to wait a long time, and I'm going to come back. So it's in the context of the fact that Jesus is going to return one day. And there's this twist in the story. And it talks about the fact in this story that there's this light and there is this oil. But the interesting thing is that even though the focus in that story is around the light and the oil, the punchline doesn't say anything about the oil. It doesn't say anything about the light and the lamp. I'm like, so what's that about? And why does Jesus say that you need to be alert and be awake? It seems to be a bit of a dichotomy. Says one thing, but then has a different punchline. And the other thing is that they all fell asleep. It seemed unfair, didn't it? So I think the key here is the word stay alert or be alert. And we need more alerts anyway, don't we? As they say. Sorry for the dad joke. So the important thing is here, don't fall asleep, stay awake. Now, I did a bit of a word search here because sometimes the background behind these things in the Greek gives us a bit of a hint. So I thought, what does this word mean? What is this whole thing about asleep? So I looked up the word and it is gregoreuo. And it means to be awake or to watch. Or another way of saying it is stay awake, figuratively to be vigilant and be responsible and watchful. So the use of this word in the New Testament is connected to prayer. And it's really interesting. It means to continue to pray, to keep being connected to prayer. Now, there's an example of that in Matthew 26, verse 41, where Jesus says to the disciples when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, watch and pray so you do not fall into temptation. So that watch there for watch and pray is this Gregorio, which to watch and pray. So what is Jesus saying with the use of this word to the disciples in this parable, this allegorical story? He's saying that we need to be ready for when he comes back. So what's happening here is that we have to be watchful and prayerful. Now, I don't know about you, but I've fallen asleep a lot of times when I've been trying to pray, particularly at night. You're praying away and your eyes are getting heavy and you're waking up and then you're falling asleep and you're waking up. It's really easy, isn't it, to fall asleep sometimes when you're tired. And the disciples did that in the garden with Jesus. But the focus here, I believe, is that Jesus is saying to stay connected to the Father, to stay connected to Father God in prayer, to develop a habit. It's our responsibility to develop a habit in our lives that's about being watchful. It's about being responsive to the Father like Jesus was throughout our lives. It's about not drifting off. And it's about the fact that we need to see how can we develop that habit in our lives so that we stay connected to the Father. So does this mean we attend prayer meetings all the time? Well, maybe, but it's more than that. This is the model that Jesus gave us. He went out to the desert places. He was alone with the Father. He practiced solitude. And there was silence where he was just with God and just he and the Father together, learning and being with each other. And so that's what's important out of this, is that we learn and develop this intimacy with the Father where we are continually growing in our closeness and not falling asleep, not giving up, not stopping this pattern and this growth of development of knowing God in their quietness, just God and us, just the Father and you, the two of you, being alone, being quiet, being with God, being present with him. So while we wait for Jesus to come back, throughout the days, the weeks, the months, the years, it's important that as we're waiting for Christ, we don't grow weary. We don't give up praying. We can continue to pursue the Father every day, meeting with him, develop good habits, and pray that you constantly get to know him more. And as Paul said, pray without ceasing, so that when Christ comes back, he will know you and will accept you and you won't miss out. God bless you, and thanks for listening.